members speaking. So it does a pretty good job of capturing who's talking as we stream tonight. So, okay, I think it's 6:30. Today's Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, 6:30 p.m. This is a full commission meeting of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to ask we could do a roll call once our Secretary, Commissioner Winnie, gets set up here. Do a roll call of onto the next slide. The folks that are while she's getting set up, I forgot. I always like to include this slide. If you've not been to a meeting before, there are 21 area commissions across Columbus. Gosh, you know, I guess there's over 900 neighborhoods in the Columbus area, and so there's 21 area commissions. And this is the purpose and function of what an area commission is defined by a Columbus City Code. And there's the number there if you want to look that up. But we're established to afford additional voluntary participation and decision-making in an advisory capacity and to facilitate communication, understanding, and cooperation between neighborhood groups, city officials, and developers. So that's taken right out of the ordinance or parts of the city code. If you want more information about any of the area commissions, they're at the website at the bottom, cbusareacommissions.org. Our Greater Hilltop link is there. You can find our calendar of meetings for the month. You can find the agenda for meetings, the names of everybody that's sitting here, meeting minutes, and all those kinds of things are housed there. So it's a great place if you're interested in following us or any other area commission. You can get to all their other links there also. So I'm going to ask if we could go ahead and take roll call then.
Mr. Barnacle?
Here.
Ms. Bates Fry?
Here.
Ms. Brudenell? Mr. Dallas?
Here.
Mr. Fagan?
Here.
Ms. Kepler?
Here.
Ms. Kiplet? Here. Ms. Klein? Here. Josh Maddox?
Here.
Sean Maddox?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Present.
Mr. Paxton?
Here.
I am present. Mr. White?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Thank you. Are there any, I've passed out copies of the agenda. Does anybody else need a paper copy? I've got a couple more. I want to ask if there's any additions from commissioners to the agenda, any corrections, any deletions. This is a matter of the agenda presentations later this evening. We have 3 presentations. I haven't heard back from the City of Columbus Mayor's office, so I don't know. Okay, welcome. Hey, good to see you. Great. So we do have that presentation on the agenda tonight. I was going to potentially delete it, but glad you're here. Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to move on to talk about Commissioner Winning as our secretary. Were you able to get minutes out for our last meeting?
I did not send them yet, no.
Okay. So the minutes aren't here to be reviewed. So you're going to send those to everybody via email?
Yes.
Okay. And then get a chance to look at those. We'll have to table that to our next meeting. Great, moving right along. So we're to the area of the agenda where we get reports from City of Columbus staff. So I hadn't heard back from Sergeant Brophy representing the Division of Police. I don't see Sergeant Brophy here yet this evening. If he is able to come, we'll get his report as we circle back if he's able to be here a little bit later. So have you heard from Sergeant Brophy? No? Okay. I don't see from the city attorney's office, Zach Gwen, our zone attorney. Let's see Mr. Gwen. Okay, so I do see representing City Council in the Division of Community Engagement, Avery Townsend is here tonight to do a report. Yeah, welcome.
I gotta be the first one to.
And I know the mic isn't your favorite thing, but
It's not.
yeah, no, just clip that on and you'll be good.
I have to resist rewatching myself on this live stream and listening to my like voice quiver. So, all right, is that
Is that working?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Beautiful.
All right, so there's two public hearings coming up that I wanted to let you know about. One is on Thursday. It's an update to the fire code. To my understanding, it is to align the city's language and the fire code more closely with the way the state is. So kind of like a housekeeping sort of code update. So that will be on 5 p.m. this Thursday. It'll be hosted by the council member that chairs public safety, which is Councilmember Reedy. And then on October 18th at 6 p.m., there will be a second hearing on the wage threshold that Councilmember Bankston has been hosting. So he did already have one. I believe it'll be one in a series of 3. So right now, companies need to pay $15 an hour minimum to receive city tax incentives, but that is up for review at the end of the year. The department is suggesting that it's raised from 15 to anywhere between $18.50 and $20 an hour. We're doing 3 hearings on this because they want, feedback. And if you have any testimony or you want to sign up to speak, you can email JP Dorval at JB Dorval, DORVAL at columbus.gov. But again, that's October 18th at 6 p.m. And then last time, I think it was Leah that had a really good question. We are still planning to do trainings that are going to be available for area commissioners. I said it would probably be October, November, December. It is October. I don't think that is happening. I will let you know when those will be. There'll be 3 consecutive months, so there'll be plenty of time for you to plan for that. But she had asked whether commissioners that have not taken their seat yet will take it in January, would be able to attend, and they think that would be perfectly fine. And just to say that you are an oncoming commissioner when it comes down to that period of time. So that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions for me? Thank you.
Peggy, just wanted to acknowledge that we received your email today about
Yeah.
possibly coming to the next public safety committee meeting. So whenever we get to the emails and all of that, we'd like to get on the agenda for our next meeting.
October 28th, right? It's a Saturday. Saturday morning at 10. Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to kind of get that.
Get it
booked.
rolling.
That would be great.
That's
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to do a good job at this meeting tonight of asking. I put a lot of pressure on Commissioner Maddox to manage all of this. So any comments or questions about anything that's been presented so far? Right. I don't know if anybody from the Department of Neighborhoods is here. I don't know if David was able to make it
I
tonight.
don't see him. It would be.
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation.
Oh, nice. He's emailing me as we speak.
Gonna
so-
say.
Yeah.
Nick is on vacation, she said.
Nick is on vacation.
But
Yeah.
I don't see him.
That's okay. So typically, if you're watching in or listening in, somebody from the Department of Neighborhoods, Melissa Green, was in the seat. She's no longer with Department of Neighborhoods. So her supervisor, David, was going to potentially take the slot. So I think he's on vacation tonight. So we'll welcome David to the next meeting, and stop emailing David. You're on vacation. So and then Nick from the Department of Neighborhoods, specifically around the Envision Hilltop project, he is on vacation. And so I went ahead and put him on the agenda in case anybody else wanted to do any presentation on his behalf. But part of what I did want to say is next month, November 1st, our full commission meeting, Nick, I've asked him to do kind of a full presentation on kind of where we're at with the Envision Hilltop plan, what's happening with the committees and all of that. I'd really like to him to do kind of a up-to-date presentation. He said he would be happy to do that. So we can look forward to that for next month. So anybody else in the city of Columbus that had any reports or any information to provide?
I'm sorry, could I go on this spot instead of later on from the mayor's office?
Since we are wildly ahead of schedule, I would be fine with
I
that.
appreciate that.
Yes.
I gotta get my daughter from soccer practice. I thought it was really.
If you'd come up here and put a mic on and
Yes,
speak to us about it, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
great.
You can't see me back there anyways, I'm too short.
Let's start with your name.
Maria Cortez.
Yeah, Maria Cortez. You're from there's an on and off button up there at the top.
Yes.
City of Columbus Mayor's Office.
Yes.
Right.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Maria Cortez, and I'm the new Assistant Director of Community Affairs for the Mayor's Office. And I am here to talk about bond and charter issues that are coming up on this November 8th ballot. So first will be the bond, it's issues 14 through 18. And what this will allow is the city to invest $1.5 billion into the neighborhoods. And the good thing about this bond package is that it will not raise taxes. That's possible because what's being set aside will be a portion of taxes already to be able to pay back these bonds. That's divided up into issues 14 through 18. Issue 14 would give $300 million to health, safety, and infrastructure. So that's your police and fire facility improvements, substations if they're needed, and this is spread out throughout the whole city of Columbus. Issue 15 is $200 million for recs and parks. That's rec centers, facility upgrades, park, bikeways, and other improvements that are needed in the city. $200 million into neighborhood development, and that includes affordable housing. And I do have a breakdown of how that money would be used in affordable housing. $80 million is for construction of new affordable rental units. $50 million will be for affordable home ownership. $40 million to preserve existing housing affordability, and the last $30 million is for programs for permanent housing for individuals going through homelessness. And then the last one would be $550 million to public utilities. And I'll leave these little hot cards as well in that way there's more information. If you have any questions on or would like to know how this money will be divided up, there will be capital budget review meetings happening with public hearings at City Council when we have the dates. One of the two of us will get those dates to you. You can go and participate in the public hearing so that you know exactly your voice is heard where you would like these funds to be spread out throughout the city. But that's just the buckets right now, how they are. So the other one is a charter amendment. Those are issues 19 through 21. I'm sure you're familiar with our charter, but those that you don't know, it's pretty much the constitution of our city. And those are going to be issues 19 through 21. Issue 19 is to have more transparency on the ballot. So we know last time there was a company that wanted to take about $80 million of city's resources, and we really didn't know who they were. So this, you could still put stuff on the ballot. It would just, you have to show what's happening with the first 3 years with that money, who you are, and where that's going to. So it's just to have more transparency on thing that goes in the ballots. Also, the simplifying of signature collection. So if you'd like to have something on a ballot, it gives you 2 years to collect signatures. And once you submit those signatures, you'll have a 10-day period where, say someone is not eligible, you have 10 days to go back and get the signatures that are still missing. That's issue 19. Issue 20 is for hiring the bands. So there's a lot, people think that the testing is changing. The testing process is not changing. What's expanding is the grade and the pool of applicants. So for example, right now we have a minimum of 3 bands. So 90 to 100, 80 to 90, and then the last band. We have to go right now through everyone. Think of it as like an A/B student. Everyone that has A's 90 to 100, you have to offer them a job first. Even though those in the 80 band are also qualified, it could take up to 5 months to get to that second band. So this would streamline the process for 311 operators, firefighters, police officers, and people that are qualified. What's happening now is that even if someone would apply, even if they have a criminal record, but we still have to go through that person's checkbox until we can offer and go to the next band. So this would make a minimum of 1 band. Again, the testing process is not changing. You still have to pass a test. It just makes it a bigger pool. So it'll be about like an 85 to 100 instead of the 3 bands. And this also would allow state jobs to change the titles. And for example, like my badge says executive assistant, and not that there's anything wrong with an executive assistant, but as someone applying to a job in the city of Columbus, if I see that posting on the website, my trade is a social worker, I'm not going to apply for that position. So it's just to have more transparency on what the job is and hopefully have more people applying to the city of Columbus with this change. The last issue is issue 21, and this is to increase access to public meetings. So the pandemic showed us that sometimes we have to go virtual. What this would allow is meetings like yours, like city council. If there was an emergency again, you would be able to meet virtually and vote virtually. And this is only going to be though by city council ordinance. So it has to be an emergency, city council approves first, and then you have your meetings virtually. And the last one of issue 21 is just to modernize the city auditor's office to use modern technology for, we know we need modern technology for everything. So just a permission for them to update that system. So I'll leave both of these information here. Is there any questions for me?
Can you just repeat that last part, updating what kind of system?
Modernizing the city's technology to perform transactions for the county auditor's office. And that would align with state law, what the Ohio Revised Code already says. We just have to change it in our charter.
So there's lots of conversation about affordable housing. Can you tell me what affordable housing is?
Yes, so that is the percentage into dollar signs would be anywhere between 20 to about 55,000 is what would be considered the price range. So if you make within 20 to 55, you would qualify for an affordable housing.
Issue 19 doesn't increase the number of signatures required for ballot issue.
I do not believe so. No, it's just simply gives you 2 years to get those signatures. And once you turn them in, if someone is not eligible, you need more, 10 additional days to get those signatures.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you'll be getting back with us about public hearings that are going to be scheduled between now.
Yes, those are not scheduled right now with the capital review budget, but that should be happening soon. And we'll make sure you guys know those dates so you can go to the public hearings. Yes.
You brought some cards with
I
you.
did. I'll leave these behind. I'll pass them out this way, and then.
And I'll make sure our community relations committee gets those on our social media.
Perfect.
outlets.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Yep, November 8th on your ballot.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from anybody here in attendance? Anything online? Thank you for being here. Yeah. Sergeant Brophy, we're just running all around the agenda. So Sergeant Brophy is here. Yeah, it's perfect timing. We're still with the City of Columbus staff report. So you know the gig. There's a mic up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember the gig. It's been
Yeah.
a minute since I've been here. Sorry, I didn't make it last month. I sent myself to the hospital instead of coming to visit y'all. I should have paid attention on being here. I suppose where I was today. So this is very untypical of me. I wrote a statement. So I'm going to read this one so that I don't trip up on saying what I need to say. All right. It's been a very long day for me. It's been very, very busy recently. So kick that off. The Greater Hilltop Area Commission. The geographical area is home to the Wedgewood Village Apartments. Members of this commission in the past frequently asked what is being done about the violence and crime in Wedgewood. I can finally, after not being able to provide too much information up until now, so that today, we have wrapped up a 1.5 year long investigation into the BL criminal street gang that was responsible for much of the violence in the Wedgewood community. This was a joint investigative project that involved my team, the CRT3 team, Columbus Division of Police's Criminal Investigative Unit, the ATF Task Force, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and numerous other suburban law enforcement agencies across both Franklin and Delaware County. This all resulted in an 84 count indictment against 13 individuals identified as members of this criminal street gang. Most notably, this indictment included an individual named Hussein Bilal, who was charged with the murder of Miguel Arola on August 19th. For those who don't know, that was the incident in which the individual was found shot inside a motor vehicle just outside of Westgate Park. I believe it's important to also note that none of these persons in this indictment are low-level first-time offenders. What we did is each and every single one of these individuals had an extensive criminal history that included illegal weapons possessions offenses, felony assaults, and robberies. It is our hope that this investigation brings some peace and some calm to the west side of Columbus in general and the Wedgewood Village community in particular. I also hope that this shows that we did not ignore these pleas for help. The answer to this request took a long time to come. as we needed that time to conduct the necessary investigations to accomplish the goal of appropriately charging the right individuals that were putting this community at risk. We were very precise in who was the focus of our investigations. Now, unfortunately, an unintended consequence of that is that I cannot stand up here and provide timely updates of our activities and thus compromise this investigation. Moving forward, however, we want to cultivate our partnership with you, the community, with hopefully this is first off as a gesture of goodwill to show that we did pay attention to the pleas for help. We hear you. We want to help you, but more importantly, we invite you to help us do that. It is only through a close collaboration built upon trust that your police officers can work to provide members of our community the necessary safety in which to thrive. So, like I said, to be honest with you, I held off on making an announcement about this investigation for this meeting here today. I think it is definitely, like I said, because there were a lot of people in this community and there were members of this commission for a long period of time that actually was asking for this. So I thought it was appropriate and right that we make this announcement today in front of you so that I can stand here and say, we hear you, we're working hard. We need help to do that. And hopefully this is something that we can progress in the future so that we can continue to work for the further development of safety on the hilltop. There are a lot of lessons that we learned throughout this investigation, myself in particular, and our team in general. The idea is to go out there and then begin to replicate the same type of investigative techniques that we utilize. Again, like I said, this is very precise. We don't want to just be blanket and just cast a wide net and hope we catch the right person. What we want to do is we want to focus in on the individuals who perpetrate the most significant amount of violent crime within our community. The goal is as we go forward that we utilize the same type of tactics and the same type of investigative techniques to focus maybe on central hilltop area next, combining both the integration of our NIBIN investigations coming from ShotSpotter or collaboration with the ATF labs. Folks, the idea is to focus in on people who carry and use guns illegally and perpetrate violent crime. So does anybody have any questions about that? That's about all I really prepared for the day. It's been a long day for me. Yes, sir.
Welcome back, Sergeant.
Thank
Thank you for the work.
Mhm.
You mentioned the gentleman by the name of Hussein. I missed his
You
last
say
name.
Bilal.
Bilal. Thank
Yes.
you.
Mhm. So there will probably be a press release with everybody's name in it. I'll be honest with you, there'll probably be next week. We actually have out of 13 individuals that were a target of this indictment investigation. 10 of them are currently incarcerated in the jail system. The courts will take care of that from here. There's still 3 out. We hope to have those 3 apprehended in front of a judge in the next couple of days. Yes, sir.
What percent are juveniles?
None of them were juveniles. Again, like I said, we wanted to, with this, again, juveniles aren't going to fit the criteria of this in particular because what we wanted to do, this is an enforcement. Juveniles, we want to do diversion. We want to push juveniles away from the criminal justice system, if you will, and provide them, a way to get out of being a member of this list. Okay, so there were no juveniles. Yes.
Other than the one individual who was charged with that murder, what were the majority of these other charges?
A majority of the other charges, the first charge on the top of them, every single one of them caught it was participation in a criminal gang. It's a felony of the 2nd degree in the state of Ohio. And then we have multiple weapons violations, felony thefts, weapons under disability, felonious assault, homicide, improper transporting, robbery, grand theft, possession of drugs, trafficking in drugs. Yeah, that's our list. Yes. So like I said, we're not talking about low-level first offenders. Those don't fit the criteria what we want to do. Again, like I said, if we're going to do this type of an enforcement, we're really targeting individuals. We want to make sure it's the individuals that are at most risk for causing harm. Anything else? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Hood, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. We were kind of going through City of Columbus staff reports. I didn't know if you wanted to You have anything for us today, David?
Yes, a few things.
Okay.
For kind of going through the city of Columbus staff reports, and if you wanted to.
We're streaming live, so that was just playback, I guess.
David Louis, City of Columbus Department of Neighborhoods, for those folks that don't know us.
There's a microphone there, David, do you mind? Yeah, you can hold it up, that's fine.
Okay,
Might have to turn it on of the box.
the top vertically. Okay, how's that? No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Just a few things. I have the 4 appointment forms for the 4 newly appointed commissioners. If you guys could pass those around for the 4 commissioners that are new or re-elected, make sure the information I have is correct. And Dan, if you could sign those, and I'll go ahead and start that process.
Okay.
You guys, for your budget, you should get your money tomorrow. I think our fiscal person, sorry about the irregularities this year in getting your funding, but I think we got it all straightened out. You should have your money in the account tomorrow. I wanted to update you guys about the citywide elections, even though you did not participate, but you guys were kind of the reason Melissa put that whole thing together. We had 11 commissions participate on August 27th. 6 of them had competitive elections, and you can decide for yourselves if that was a success or not. I think it is. 5 of those 6 commissions had never had a competitive election before. We could have done a better job with marketing the pilot project. We're learning, but all of the commissions that participated have a full commission, which is the first time since I've been doing this for 20 years that we have 11 commissions that have all their seats filled, which is kind of the point of, so I hope you guys consider that next year. I hope all the commissions, we're going to have a follow-up meeting, and we're going to invite everybody, both the commissions that participated and not. To give you an idea, I know hundreds of people vote in the Hilltop elections since I was here for a long time. Franklinton had about 200 people vote in their first election since 1982, and they had 7 people run for 4 spots, just to give you an idea. And the folks that ran had to actually go out and campaign and talk to their neighbors and get people to vote for them, which is the whole point too, is to get quality people that care about their neighborhoods and not just show up and get appointed one night. Both North and South Linden had elections. They had a much smaller turnout, about 30-ish people at both North and South Linden, but they had their first election since the 80s also. So that was kind of the point, and I hope you guys consider that. I think you already changed your bylaws to reflect the January to December date. So, and Hilltop's one of the few places, few commissions that regularly do have competitive elections. You guys in Near East are almost every year have real elections, so it's not so much of a problem here. So, but it's totally up to you guys. It's still a voluntary, you still want to keep your elections in October. You can continue to do that. I had some questions about the new 19th precinct from folks this last month, which you guys have been hearing about for years. the city has completed the property acquisition just recently, which was long and difficult, it's across the street from the current 19th precinct. And we are in the very early design phase of the new 19th precinct. I have not seen renderings, or I don't think we're there yet. But the completion date is projected 2025. But I wanted to let you know that it's still out there, it's still happening. I received a number of complaints about streetlights out in the Hilltop area. I met with our Division of Power today, shared lots of emails that I've received about the streetlights. They're aware of it, they're working on it. We're having supply chain things with streetlights. And I will try to keep Dan and the rest of you updated on that. And with that, that's my report for tonight. If anybody has any questions or concerns, I'll be here all meeting.
So just if you don't know, the 19th precinct is on Sullivan Avenue. 2000 block of Sullivan Avenue.
Very old.
Clarification, still going on the state land, just down the street, east of the road, east of the current location. Okay.
Are there different types of streetlights that the city uses around the city? So
Yes.
like some types are having an issue, whereas others aren't?
Yes. I would say that the ones that we're having the greatest problems with are, and I'm not sure if we have those up. Yeah, they're on Broad Street. The black ones that people run into all the time, we can't get those poles. You know, the ones in the alleys and the just, you know, hey, we can fix those. And I think there's some grid issues, both Franklin's and Hilltop, that they're working on right now. But be assured they're aware of it and working on it. And again, if you guys have any concerns, I will be interviewing for the new West Side liaison Thursday. So we hope to have somebody here, maybe not next month, but soon. So I'll stick around after the meeting if anybody has anything.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. I'll make sure I get a copy of the bylaws initial.
Oh, the new bylaws, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we're a little behind on the agenda now, but we are through the City of Columbus staff report. So the section on the agenda now is report of officers. I'll just make mine really quick. I talked about our presentation from Nick about the Envision Hilltop plan next meeting, which our full commission meeting will be Tuesday, November 1st. The next election is November 8th, so I wanted to make sure in November that's not conflicting with election day. So we should be good. The first Tuesday is November 1st. I've also wanted to prepare everybody. I'm going to put on the agenda a presentation from our first Inspector General, Hendricks, right? She would like to come and do a presentation here. So on February 1st of 2022, the City of Columbus Civilian Police Review Board and the mayor approved the appointment of Jacqueline Hendricks as the city's first Inspector General. So she was going to be, I think, traveling to many of the area commissions, but has asked if she could come and get to know us and just kind of explain her role, what the office is doing, how we can just understand what that is. And so I put her on I'll put it on the agenda for next month, Tuesday, November 1st. That's my report. So any other officers have any reports? Let's see.
I do have an update on the Wilson Road speed limit. The speed study was done back in June, and they will be reducing the speed from 50 to 45. Getting somewhere. I think we'll eventually be able to get it reduced down to 35 just because of the park that's over there, the housing center that's there, as well as the neighborhood across the street. It's just a long and very tedious process of actually getting everybody to cooperate and get it done, but it will be reduced. Still waiting on an update on when the signs are going to be replaced. From my understanding, the city of Columbus still needs to approve it. So we'll see how much longer that takes, because the study was done back in June.
Thank you for your hard work on that. 5 miles per hour. Step in the right direction.
Yep.
So as far as treasurer's report, there's not one, as you heard Dave say earlier, that we're waiting for our funds, which should be there tomorrow. So
Put this slide up last time. We keep $300. City uses that to keep in our checking account, and then we should receive it. Right, any other reports from officers? Okay, great. So we're going to move on to the committees and the reports of our committees. If anybody has a copy of the agenda, we're going to start with the zoning committee. And on the back, there's a zoning supplement. So there's 2 presentations that are going to be happening tonight. And so I'm going to kind of ask that we go through this kind of structure here, that our chairs will present the application. The applicants will come up and do a presentation. We'll get an opportunity to field questions from anybody here in the audience tonight. And we'll next be able to ask questions. Really kind of want to tighten up this process through this kind of, this is adaptable. We can see how this works moving on, but just kind of want to have everybody take a look at kind of the flow of how this is going to go. So I'm going to turn it over to our zoning co-chairs, Patrick Barkle and Rachel Winning.
I'm gonna call these in reverse order. So BZA 22-091. Yeah.
And that one would be 2357 Sullivan Ave. This application is, you can stand up and show you while I introduce this application. This application is a variance requesting a variance on the placement of a dumpster, as well as a variance on the number of cars that are allowed to be stacked for an existing drive-through location. At the zoning committee, it was voted 4 for and 1 against. I was the one against. My reason for voting against is that for landscaping, I did not think that there were enough trees. I told them if he added another tree to the application by today, I would reverse my vote to a yes. You may present your application.
Hi, on.
I think you need to.
Top.
Turn it on from the top. Oh.
Yeah, good.
There we go. Yes, my name is Glenn Hallbacher. I'm representing the client on this. Basically, we have an existing building, maybe 60 years old or something like that. And it was permitted in its present state in, I think, 1986. Due to some violations of the building, one of them parking past the no parking zone, the setback. And they had a couple building violations that I don't think lights operable or wasn't covered enough. So those were taken care of with the building department. I have a couple things that were shown on the original plan, the parking in front of the repair shop, and also the drive-through that's existing. It apparently with the code, and I'm sure the code has changed since 1986 in a few areas, we are required to have 8 stacking spaces. We would like to go to 7. I think our 8th one hangs a couple feet onto the sidewalk. And we meet the dumpster code, but the landscape code calls for all dumpsters to be behind the building. We're a 0 lot line front and rear. So we don't have a front or a rear, we have a side. So that's a variance apparently. And those are essentially it's to legitimize what's existing there, what was originally permitted there. And through our zoning compliance, we're going to go ahead and redo the parking lot, stripe it, the parking blocks and whatnot, so we get the cars parked all in the right place. And the building issues were taken care of through the building department.
I also should try to summarize the discussion at the zoning committee. it was discussed that if this was an original application, it would be unlikely that most of us would approve it. But the belief was that this is, as proposed, an improvement from the existing condition, and therefore the majority of the committee wish to support it. Is there, Rachel, you weren't there. Mr. Fagan, is there anything else that I missed out on that?
No, I was also late to that meeting, so you could hear the full presentation, but I've looked at it, but no, wouldn't add it.
Okay. It's a good summary of it. Are there any commissioner questions about the application?
Did they provide you anything with an extra tree?
I did not receive an extra tree. Is there an extra tree placed in the application?
There could be an extra tree. It's not required per the code. We put in a couple trees that we were required for what we had. And they will not go in the front. They would go into the side, on the side street. We were required to put two, and that's what we put. And the head of the landscape who looked at it, he looked at it, told us where he wanted his trees. So he has written off on it. Have that in the staff report. And he's good with our two trees.
Mr. White.
Did we ever figure out who's responsible for the sidewalk along the east side of the property? Is it the property owner or is it the city of Columbus? Because I know it's not there anymore.
No, but I believe the plan has a new sidewalk in it, right?
I just said you weren't doing the sidewalk.
Oh, I thought you were.
There is an existing 4-foot wide sidewalk along the easterly side. I don't know exactly what condition it's in, but there is existing sidewalk there.
Okay, so there's an existing sidewalk, but no condition.
That sidewalk?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to come up with the dates. That's August of 2019, but it's pretty overgrown. There's a sidewalk at least there. It's nowhere further.
And you're adding grass further over, right?
Yeah, we have to, they have paved up to the right of way there. We have a 10-foot parking setback, which is also shown in the original 86 layout, somewhere between 1986 and 2022. It got paved over. And that's where we'll be putting the trees in there.
This photo here was even as late as July of 2021. Is that right, Josh? The smaller.
Yeah, that's what the image captures was in the map.
And it's pretty much all sidewalk up to the right of way on the Sullivan side.
Before we continue with any other commissioners' questions, anybody that is attending have any comments or questions about the application? Anybody in attendance tonight? Start with that.
Police calls have been reported at 2357 over last month.
So were you able to hear that question? Were you able to respond to it? Yes.
Yeah.
Police calls?
Yes.
I wouldn't know.
He doesn't know.
I'm just curious because almost nightly it shows up in Citizens Act that there is some incident at that exact address.
Okay, thank you.
2357?
Yes, Sullivan Avenue.
Where is 2357? That's across the street, I believe. That's the name, it's not the address. Let me see, this is, I've got two addresses in front here. And the name of the LLC, I believe, is for the address across the street. Yeah, 57 then is the, it must be the car repair, which does not have a tenant.
Was it one of these buildings, the yellow building or the blue building?
Which one's blue? The one next door to the yellow? Oh,
To the drive-through.
that is attached to the yellow building.
Which building are we discussing?
Would be, no, that is the blue building. Yeah, that does hook around behind that truck, correct.
The number's right there.
Did you get-
57.
That is 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's this building that we're discussing.
Yeah, I don't have any idea why there would be police calls to that. I believe that is, that's attached to the car repair garage.
Yeah, I think he's more
It's-
saying, like, if there's calls through the Sam's drive-through. I think that's what he's proposing, is calls being made to the address of Sam's drive-through. I think that's what he means.
Right, and that one has no tenant at this time. We need to get this approved through.
It is all the same property.
That is, well, it's not technically, it's not the same property, but the way it's permitted, this car repair garage has no free parking, so the parking for that is in this main lot.
It looks like, according to the document, that the car repair garage as well as the drive-through are the same parcel.
Correct. I believe there's a property line right down the center somewhere in here. There were several lots in here originally. They're combined basically by use.
Yeah, just
They
because
can't
when
be- they
I
can't
when I
be
look at the
separated.
application, I do see the parcel ID is like written over across both of them, like right down the middle.
All right.
Okay, so you don't have any data about the number of police calls?
No, I have no knowledge of that whatsoever.
Great. Any other public comments or questions? Okay, so any other questions or commissioners?
Yeah, are there any other commissioner questions? Any commissioner comments?
I have a question. So the blue building, what's going to be going in that blue part? Is there?
That would be the front part of the car repair garage. It's probably, I haven't been in the building, but I would assume that's the office, and then the back of it would be the repair area, which is where that truck is right now. I think they're doing some renovations on it, but it's not occupied at this time.
So both are currently vacant.
No, the drive-through is active. And that's why we need the dumpster and the new parking lot. Lighting's been upgraded around the building.
So that's for the drive-through.
It's actually for both of them. They're all one piece, as was pointed out. They are essentially one parcel. Pardon me, I'm a surveyor, but the block was cut up into separate lots, but they are actually one functional parcel at this time because the car repair uses the main parking lot.
So it's 2357. I'm asking because I'm right down the street. 2357 is both of those buildings.
I think they have separate addresses.
The application as received from the city. So it is 2357 through, sorry, it's 2352 through 2357 is the application. So I believe that the drive-through itself is 2352 based on what the zoning application states.
Yeah, I know the addresses didn't exactly jive with what was on the auditors.
They opted for.
We're permitting these two buildings that are functionally one lot. They have a single parking lot.
Commissioner Wedding.
Was the presentation at zoning that the sidewalk would be replaced?
It was not it was our understanding that it would be replaced based on the presentation, but that was definitely my impression from the zoning committee.
I think personally, I wouldn't vote for it without the sidewalk being replaced because that sidewalk is not usable and anyone needing to go down that road can't use the sidewalk.
I would tend to agree.
So That's my only comment. Otherwise, I don't have any problem with any of it.
Any other commissioner comments?
Sir, did you do the presentation at committee?
Yes, I did.
You did
Yeah,
that?
he did.
Yeah, I have not presented it as being, it shows as an existing sidewalk, which it is. I haven't walked down it personally. I have looked at all the street
Yeah,
views and
I think it's still
photographs.
covered. by-
The way that it's showed in the presentation, it shows it as a complete sidewalk, not like that, which is, I think, where the confusion came in.
Who maintains the grass? Who's supposed to maintain that?
I believe that's the site, the property owner is supposed to be
Okay.
responsible for vegetation and maintaining sidewalk.
And this owner does not have his business there any longer. So that's a lease.
So the owner did not operate the
That
underwater.
is correct. He used to.
Would the owner maintain the responsibility as the property?
Depends on the lease agreement. Commercial leases can designate that to the tenant. So, but ultimately, if there's a code violation, it goes to the owner.
What's the date of that photograph?
This one is August 2019.
2018?
2019. That particular one, but there's another one
Yeah, I can
from
go back
Broad
and watch.
Street, it's 2021.
I mean, I think it's
Sorry,
pretty
Fort
obvious,
Sullivan.
nothing has been improved
There you
since
go.
21, so I
Oh,
can't imagine.
there we go.
No, they're not improved. I just can't see it very.
Yep, sorry. Yeah, this is 21.
That one's 2021.
Yeah, there might be some grass growing in it.
What? There's. All right, I would like to move for a conditional approval on the condition that the sidewalk is repaired. Are there any seconds on that?
I'll second it.
Like, before I take a roll on that vote, just a comment, I looked up the crime data from the past 30 days. There's 2 incidents right at that intersection, well, of the intersection with Wheatland, which is right next to this location. There was 1 traffic arrest, and then there was 1 arrest for assault in the past 30 days. The arrest for assault actually has an address right on Wheatland, not on Sullivan, but. Okay, so.
Could you hear that in the back of the room? There were 4 incidences in the
No,
last
2.
2.
In the past 30
Sorry.
days.
Yeah, there can't.
So they don't have an address?
One was at the intersection with Wheatland, and then the other one was just down Wheatland a little bit.
So there wasn't anything at 2357?
Right, correct, not right at that address.
But if Mr. Roof knows of other instances or recurring problems at that property, can he talk to you about it so that you can relate it to the owner?
Sure.
So let me pull up my vote. And you wanted to propose a conditional approval with what details?
The condition that the sidewalk be repaired and sidewalk be repaired or replaced.
As discussion on that proposal, is that something that we can technically do?
It is something that we can technically do. The board above us does it all the time. So the BZA does that. So if we put in this standard recommendation form right here that we received for these things, we put there the approvals conditioned upon that condition. Then they know that if it's not being approved, then it's a no.
So conditional upon replacement of that sidewalk bordering Wheatland Avenue.
Correct.
Repair or replace.
Repaired or replaced.
And
And the addition of a tree.
And the addition of
Are
a
you
And the
are
addition
you
of a
actually
tree,
bring
yes.
that forward also?
Yes, all right, well, okay, we'll add third tree to the landscaping plan.
I have a question then, real quick.
Yes.
Clarification. 2 additional trees on top of what's already there?
No, one more tree from the two that are.
I'm curious about what's already there, though.
No,
Wasn't there a tree, and I see
well,
them, or are they
this is
gone, are they gone
2021.
now?
This is
Okay, they're
2021.
gone, okay. Never mind.
Yes.
I'm good.
Those trees are gone.
Yeah, and a second comment on the sidewalk, 311 complaints would get that as a code violation, but they have to fix it.
Most likely.
So I'm surprised it's not already in the requirement at the, doing that anyways.
That may well be.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Okay. Mr. Barnacle.
Yes.
Ms. Bates Fry.
With the condition that we're voting on, yes.
Ms. Brudno. Not here. Mr. Dallas.
Yes.
Mr. Fagan.
Yes.
Ms. Kepler.
Yes.
Ms. Kipling. Yes. Ms. Klein. Yes. Josh Maddox.
Yes.
Sean Maddox.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. White.
Yes.
All right, you're done with us. We'll
Wait,
send
wait,
it.
wait, Ms. Davis, I didn't take Ms. Davis.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You're done with us. We'll send the standard information very soon. If you don't get it within 24 hours, email me and Rachel.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is CV 22-014, concurrent with Z 22-012. Address 363 North Eureka Avenue and 370 North Eureka Avenue. This application, gosh, we had this for about 6 months at zoning committee. We had multiple meetings with the applicant as well as community members. The immediate community, surrounding community members made a lot of their opinions known, and they were able to successfully win many compromises from the applicant. The compromises included limited text that included requiring enhanced screening along the property line, and also had restrictions on operating hours, and also restrictions on the types of business that can be conducted on the property. With the community input, the community no longer objected to the application, and based on the community's input, as well as the applicant's willingness to put the community's requests into the zoning application, the zoning committee ultimately unanimously approved the application. So, Mr. Orr.
Good evening. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Christopher Orr. Well, I'm the owner here of 363 North Eureka. My family's been in the Hilltop for about 5 generations now. And I had an opportunity to buy this property back in 2014. And, I thought it was sort of a, an obvious scenario with there being the commercial building right across the street. It was listed vacant commercial land, and I purchased it as vacant commercial land. Fantastic, I can build my building here for my business, right? And we used right now we're right here. We have a wood shop at Valley View, 2369, sort of diagonal. So nonetheless, we purchased the property. We did some improvements to secure the property, realized that we weren't in compliance. And so when I purchased the property, there were I think 3 lots that were in the county, 1 lot that was in the city of Columbus. So we went through that whole process of going through the county to get the zoning variance, only to find out that there was a rule of 25 feet with the corporation line, right? So I talked to some friends at the city and they said, you know, annex into the city would like your business, you know, to be here, the tax dollars, all that, and we'll talk about this. So, you know, me being a fifth generation builder, you know, I don't want to say I'm an expert, but you know, we've been in it a long time. We've done a lot of projects around the city that you all, I'm sure, have seen. We're invested into the Hilltop. You know, we have several homes over here. So we, you know, annexed into the city thinking that we would get this thing built. There's a couple things here we want to do. So we like to build a house bordering the neighbors to the south, so that that's kind of a buffer between the actual, you know, building, which is basically a warehouse slash like our office, right? You know, any issues with, you know, utilities or so forth, civil engineering, that kind of thing, would obviously be dealt with at the building department, and we would be in compliance with them at that time. This is more of a vision at this point. So we've worked really hard with the committee, and I want to thank you guys for all your time and help with the neighbors. We've worked really hard with the neighbors. We've all come to, you know, a consensus, and you know, we've already started to work and put some trees in, because I mean, I'll be honest, you know, the place doesn't look the greatest, right? I mean, let's be honest, you know, people, there's enough places on the west side where people, you know, have a problem with people coming in and bringing the value down rather than bringing it up. That's not our intention. You know, our issue we have right now is we can't really move forward, right? So, you know, we have the financing in place, we have the ability to build the buildings and the home. You know, it would vastly improve, you know, what we have right now, which, you know, there's problems. I mean, you know, we've had commissioners come over and look at the property and see things that, you know, they didn't necessarily like. But again, our goal is not to do anything but improve the neighborhood and improve the property. You know, we employ, you know, plumbers and painters and carpenters and floor guys, and, you know, I mean, I probably have 20 guys that are in and around the Hilltop that do work for our company. So, you know, we're working on the Franklinton High School right now. We, you know, we do a lot of things to help improve the city. So we're really not looking to do anything to bring down the city, even though unfortunately, because we can't move forward, it sort of looks that way, right? But once, you know, we're able to build the building, obviously we can, you know, consolidate some of the equipment, trucks and things like that, get them in, you know, actual parking lots and inside of buildings, and, you know, have a nice corner that, you know, that we can be proud of and the neighborhood can be proud of. And, you know, so that's sort of our plan.
Are there any commissioner questions on this application?
At the zoning meeting, were there any of the neighbors who were not in favor?
No, all the neighbors that have been at the previous meetings were there. They no longer object.
You know, we've worked pretty hard with all the neighbors to, you know, come to a, you know, an agreement. And, you know, we're willing to work together. We're not inflexible. You know, we like to improve things. We like to improve the world. You know, so we're trying to do something here that's going to benefit ourselves and the generations, you know, beyond us. So.
The neighbors, for what it's worth, the neighbors did appear to be praised in the final text language before the commissioner.
Yeah, and I actually let them write some of the text, believe it or not. But, you know, I didn't have an objection to it. I mean, and a lot of it's common sense, you know, like they don't want people coming there before 7 a.m. and they don't want us working there till 7 p.m. And, you know, I understand the fear of this type of zoning where, you know, something happens to me, my wife sells the property and somebody comes in and they put a, you know, a paint factory, or they put a junkyard or something like that, right? And the limited text that we're offering in the plan basically helps to prohibit some of that, you know, so it'll stay, you know, either building related or, you know, someone could, you know, tear it down and redevelop it at some point, you know, but I really don't see personally, I don't see this leading my family for 50 years, right? That's my plan.
So just a comment. So just if the council variance application is approved and the rezoning, the 3 pages of limitation text that are in this packet are what's going to accompany the application. And so this is what you worked on
Absolutely
over the course of like 6 months to get to this point.
And
you said even neighbors.
yeah, and just to go through the packet real quick, and I apologize for those of you that I wasn't able to get a PowerPoint presentation of, but I literally came off the site, got my son at football and came here. But you know, basically this is the site here, the first page, that's the aerial view, and it's right along the Camp Chase bike path, and Eureka Avenue and Rosie's is right here for those of you that know Rosie's. And then there's the whole park rec center right here, kind of at the bottom of the hill. This is the site. It's kind of a pie shaped site. It's, you know, wider at the top and narrower and long at the bottom. So our plan is to put, you know, a 60 by 100 building here with an office and then a house right here, you know, between us and the neighbors, and then have some storage area, you know, I mean, we're a construction company, you know, so we have, you know, scaffolding and just, you know, construction related. And obviously we have fence up and screening. And then in the limited text here, you know, some outdoor, and the neighbors actually helped me write this. Some outdoor storage is permitted as long as methods of the following are maintained: buffer of sufficiently sized planted trees and shrubs 3 to 10 foot tall at planting stage, mounds, screens, and or fences along the alley side to buffer. And if you go here, we actually we planted some emerald green arborvitae that get like 70 feet tall and like 12 feet around. So we already planted those. We talked to the neighbors about it. I said, hey, look, here's a list. What do you guys want? We all kind of agreed that this would work. So we've already, you know, done that. You know, because obviously as a neighbor, you live next to this area that's wooded, and then someone comes in and they fence it off and they start cutting trees down, you know, and it's been like that for 30 years. You know, it could ruffle people's feathers, right? And so, you know, we put trees here, you know, more trees, right? And then we have here no loading, unloading, transfer, heavy machinery, product, or other equipment or construction work done on the property on weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, or on weekdays before 6 a.m. or after 7 p.m., which I don't think is unreasonable. No entry of any vehicles from alley to the property, only the main entrance of Eureka, which, you know, I don't think is unreasonable. And then number 4, all stormwater should be properly contained, controlled, and no runoff to neighbors on Westwood Drive per code, and the business storm water permit is required. And, you know, number 4, basically for me to get the building built, I'll have to comply with building code. So, you know, my drawings will have to have all that, you know, and it's pretty difficult. I don't know how many people build, but, you know, the city of Columbus is pretty tight right now with their regulations because we have an undersized storm sewer system and we have a lot of storm water and a lot more development. And so we're having to do underground water retention and things like that, which I'm sure you've seen in developments going on. But this is kind of a rendering that we did, which is, you know, here's the railroad tracks and here's the building. And then this would be a residence that we would probably have, like, you know, probably rent it, I would think, you know, or I mean, I don't know if I would want to sell it. I might sell it. I don't know. And then this is somewhat of like an aerial view. This isn't totally perfect because last I talked to the building department, they want the building closer to the setback that exists on Eureka. So the parking is actually in the back and the building is closer to the front. And then, you know, this is a nice little rendering of a nice little house. You know, for those of you who don't know, my great grandfather developed Westgate. And so his name is on a lot of the houses in Westgate. If you look at your deed, there's a gentleman named Greer Orr, and that's my great grandfather. So, you know, we've been building in the west side since the 20s, right? So, you know, I certainly don't want to do anything other than make a nice place. So I think that's about it, really, right? I mean, or is there like wait a second here. I think that the one other thing there's a variance for is the residential house, because the residential house and the commercial. So because of the way the text is, we have to ask for a variance to build the house in the commercial setting. So, and if there's anything I'm missing that you know.
No, that's a pretty comprehensive overview. The renderings are, this is all I would say, come a long way since we originally saw this application.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your patience.
And yeah, pretty much everything, almost everything the community asked for, it seems that the applicant has agreed to, at least substantially. So there were pretty much no objections to the last zoning meeting that we discussed this. Are there any community questions?
Are there gonna be like solar panels, anything like that with the facility?
I mean, I don't really have that, you know, as part of my plan. You know, I'm for and against solar for different reasons. You know, we have some facilities that we've built that have solar. And, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to it. I know a lot of people are using it, but at this point, I don't really have that. I mean, I really need to just be able to build a building so I can clean up the site and run my business instead of out of an office trailer and containers. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So if you're watching the stream, the question was there a plan to put solar panels in? It could be around here. So, sorry, Jim.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't see yours.
Thank you for your presentation. You indicated no traffic coming off of the alley, but if that residences, I know there's a gate that crosses in front of the property. How would somebody who's living there get in and out?
I apologize. I should have been more clear. There would be no, you know, business traffic.
Okay.
Is the plan with the house, and I don't know if you were able to see it, but is to kind of have like, you know, the house with a garage, and all these other houses here, they have garages.
Yeah.
So you would enter the garage to the residential side here, right? Rather than to.
Any other community questions? Commissioner questions? Seeing none, I move to approve the application in its final form.
Okay, Mr. Barnacle,
Yes.
Ms. Bates Fry,
Yes.
Mr. Dallas,
Yes.
Mr. Pagan,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Kipling,
Yes.
Klein, yes. Josh Maddox,
Yes.
Sean Maddox,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Paxton,
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Mr. White,
Yes.
and Ms. Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. You're done with us.
Absolutely. I want to thank all
You
of you for your
can,
time.
it's up to you to schedule with the development commission from this point, and then the city council. If you do not get one of these recommendation forms from us, on these within the next 24 hours, email me or Rachel.
Okay. All right.
August and one of us will get it to you.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
And that concludes the applications we had tonight. Our next zoning meeting is in 2 weeks here at 5:30 p.m. The following applications will be heard. I have a bunch of them. I have 5. I'm gonna try to schedule all of them because most of them are actually graphics commissions. I would say 4 of the applications are not particularly controversial. The applications are 1361 Georgesville Road, 45 Clarendon Avenue, 2725 West Broad Street, and 2327 to 2331 and a half West Broad Street. The Georgesville Road application is for a special permit to expand the use of the expand the existing marijuana dispensary into the next unit. The Clarendon Avenue application is allow sign on the overpass front of the building. So that's the new pre-K. The entryway, they want to have a sign above the entryway, and they need to have a graphics variance to allow them to do that. 2435 Sullivan Avenue, that's that private charter school that's right there on Sullivan Avenue. Their sign that they have for the school is not in compliance with, it's too high, and they also want it to be illuminated, which is illegal under existing zoning. 2725 West Broad Street. That is what gas station is that one?
Exxon or no?
Sunoco, thank you. It's a Sunoco right going east from Hague on Broad. That illuminated sign that got knocked over. They put the new one up. The new one's illegal. So they actually want to mount 2 of them to the overhead canopy as a graphics commission request. And then the last one is 2327 West Broad Street, and they want to allow a taco truck to be permanently there overnight. Maybe a variance for that.
Great, thank you. So there is a city notice. So this voluntary group of commissioners, the work that we do happens in committee. So that was our zoning committee. Going to pass it on to our chair, one of our co-chairs of our community relations committee, Jenny Kepler.
Feel so fancy with these lavalier mics. So my friend and co-chair Leah Brudno could not be here this evening, but she sent me a good selection of notes for this to I mentioned during our report. So big one is we have a community candidate forum coming up on October 17th here at the library. I screenshot the announcement so I remembered. Yes. It's the Hilltop and Southwest Area Candidate Forum. It's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Our colleague and good friend, Commissioner Moore, has agreed to be the moderator for the event. If anyone, commissioners and community members alike, have any questions for the candidates, please get those submitted to Leah this week so that we can get those prepared in advance for the candidates. And you can visit the Facebook event page for more information, or the website. I think there's info on the website as well. Also, there's more. Wait, there's more. Oh, dear friends on the commission, please share the invite and invite all of your Hilltop friends. We got to get the word out. We want to make this event very successful. This is all for the benefit of our community to be better informed voters and get people more encouraged to come out and vote, regardless of what your choices are. Also, moving on to the subject of elections and et cetera, et cetera. As we mentioned last month, we did not need to have elections this month because we originally had 5 candidates in 4 seats. 1 candidate dropped out, so the 4 remaining candidates will automatically assume or reassume those roles next year. We will make a formal announcement on the Facebooks and on our website but we still need bios and photographs from one, Ms. Rachel Wedding and Andrew Stryker, please, pretty please with sugar on it. Also, while this seems kind of early, just in time for the December meeting, we need to be thinking about getting potential candidates for the appointed seat. So commissioners, if you could please put that on your radars. Also, community members, if you are interested in running for the appointed seat, ponder that. And then just before the December meeting, if you could please notify one of us on the commission to nominate you at the December meeting. Our next meeting is on October 25th at 7 p.m. at the Design Refinery. And I think that's it. But yeah, I got it. That's it. Okay. So any questions?
Any questions?
Yes.
What candidates do you have confirmed so far for the event?
I do not know that off the top of my head. Leah and the League of Women Voters have been coordinating this.
Okay.
I
suppose I could check the Facebook event.
Yeah, you could. Teasing. Yeah, that's through the League of Women Voters. And I think they're the ones arranging the specific candidates. So I don't know off the top of my head. I wish I had better information, Rachel. I'm sorry.
Okay, if I find it, I'll announce.
Nobody specifically listed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Was there a voter registration night that happened?
There was
this
a
past-
canvas on Thursday.
This past Thursday.
Yes.
Yes.
It was. I participated.
I wasn't able to attend, so I don't know.
I did participate. Did you have some questions?
Well, I just thought you could tell the commission about it.
Yeah.
Would you take an opportunity to do that? Just,
Oh,
I'd love an
tell-
update. Yeah.
So, it was very well, I can't say necessarily received because there was a lot of canvassing going on. But we did get a chance to talk with our neighbors on the hilltop for about 3 blocks. Moving down around 3 blocks, you know, the hilltop is really big, so we were walking. So did get to talk to a lot of people.
And the goal was to get people to register to vote who were
Register to
not
vote.
currently registered. to vote.
The good thing I can speak for the folks that I spoke with, most people were already registered. So that's a good thing. I was glad. And so they said they were registered. So I was glad to hear that. If not, just the visual of us walking around trying to get people to register to vote if they weren't was amazing. So.
Good, good. Thank you for the update.
Mhm.
Do you know if there's anything scheduled in the future?
No, I don't at this point.
Perfect. Thank you. For that.
Mhm.
That's on to James. Our Human Services and Education Committee. So Chair, do you have a report?
We did meet on Wednesday. We're going to be drafting a formal letter for the commission to approve regarding Wedgewood Elementary. Again, to repeat, we're going to be drafting or submitting a letter next month for approval. It's going to be regarding the west side of our community, more close to like Big Run area over there. We're going to be discussing in the letter the needs for that community, have a possibly a rec center, a pool, an updated police substation, to kind of all coincide with the new elementary school that's going to be built over there. We're just trying to get ahead of the City of Columbus's facility master plan to see if we can incorporate some of those facilities inside the new elementary school or along the vacant property that's going to be coming up once they do the plan that they want to do. And I'm still waiting to hear back from City of Columbus about the process of the master plan, because it was supposed to be up on this November's ballot, but they've since removed it. So if you guys want to meet and discuss that, we meet on the third Wednesday of every month here in the library, 5:30 p.m. to about 6 or 7.
If I say Columbus City Schools, right?
Yes, Columbus City Schools. Any questions?
Will there be a skate park?
We could.
Can you repeat the question? I think
The Terry?
Yes, yes.
Terry asked about a
asked if
skate
there was
park.
a skate park going to be incorporated into it, because I know that, I think almost, we're going to go into Westgate, that shot there. So that would be a good place to have a skate park.
I'm actually hoping that the new police substation off Sullivan will kind of incorporate one. I mentioned it a couple of times. They said they were going to look into it when they start the design phase. So we'll see how that one goes.
They got the one in Grove City and it's, step up and it's like, it's always got people there, kids, and you know, off the streets.
And out of the tennis courts in Westwood.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions? Thank you for your report.
You want to pass that mic or take a handheld one? Yes. Should be. So it's our chair of our liquor permit review committee, Commissioner Winnie. You have a report for this one?
Yes, so we met on September 26th. We reviewed the pending applications for permits at that time. We discussed specifically 3 permits that Zach Gwynn had asked for input on. One is 590 Georgesville. We generally objected due to that location having a not allowed drive-through. There was 3475 Sullivan. That is Kane's Sports Bar. We generally objected to that due to there being a shooting in July where 2 people were killed at that location. And 2635 West Broad Street, which is the Exxon at Ogden and Broad. We generally had no input on that permit. I do not plan to meet this month, but there is one pending permit that Mr. Nguyen asked for input on. And so if anyone has any input on this one, please email me or just tell me verbally. It's La Bodega Supermarket, which is 3014 Sullivan Avenue. That's in the same building as former dive bar and Ideas, right at Salisbury and Sullivan. So if you have seen any issues there, I think the only issue I ever see there is people parking on the sidewalk. But I don't even think that's people going to that grocery store. I think it's other people. So yes, no meeting this month. I think we'll probably meet in November, but again, if you have any input on La Bodega, let me know.
Thank you. Just trying to make sure I understood. So there's a pending permit for 3014 Sullivan Avenue. That if you have, anybody has any feedback or opinions, email you directly.
Right.
Okay.
Anyone on commission, you know, any community members as well, if you have any problem with that one.
Okay.
Let me know.
Perfect. So, yes, sir, go ahead.
The convenient marts and everything that we're talking about, gas stations and all of that. Is there any way possible to get all the signage off the windows? Some of these shops that you go by, they completely covered their windows with advertisements. You can see what side of the business. I think that's kind of a safety position. And that goes along with a lot of bodegas, any of them, basically. They completely covered their windows with advertisements, so we really don't know what's going on in there. You're driving by there, police officer can't see in, you can't see in.
Yeah, as far as the liquor permits, I don't think that, you know, unless there's actually been incidents there that we would know about, I don't think we could actually kind of give input on the appearance of it, but I'm not really sure what that would fall under, because that seems like kind of a personal prerogative when they want to put in their windows, but.
Maybe there may be graphics commission violations around that. If there is, then my only suggestion is put a 311 complaint to for a violation of graphics code. But I'm not familiar enough with the graphics code to say whether or not it is. But that is something that if you have a problem with that thing in general, talking to the building and zoning and trying to get the graphics department, that's a good place to talk.
Also, I do have another question. Dive bar, why was that even permitted? Even open?
Well, we don't really get a say in what initially is given. A lot of times,
Right next to a daycare center. I mean, it was right next to a daycare center. Somebody drove through that daycare center.
So just kind of as a point of order, one of the things I'm trying to do right now is get reports of the work of our committee. So when I ask if there's any comments about anything that's been presented, I'd welcome those. I think that later on, when we have time for announcements and things, if there's a general kinds of question that we can respond to, I'd love to hear that then, okay? So if I can table that here for a little bit, and we can, if we have time to address that, I will definitely do that.
or,
At least tell you what I know about.
or if you want to talk to me after the meeting, I can talk to you and then maybe we could discuss it at the next liquor permit meeting.
I'm just curious, I mean, I think we have enough bars and liquor facilities on the hilltop. I just don't see the need for it to work.
Okay. Yeah, heard.
Yeah, that's a great point. We'll talk about it, I promise. We'll talk about it. It's good thoughts. We'll talk about it. Moving on to our Planning and Economic Development Committee, our co-chairs Simon Dallas and Victoria Klein, and you guys have a report and some things to talk about.
Yes, so last meeting, we met with WJ3 Properties LLC. They are a locally owned development business in Columbus. They are purchasing 3 properties from the land bank with the intention to develop them into single family homes to sell. So this is the second developer that's going to be purchasing from land banks that has come across the commission's table. It appears that the Office of Development and Land Bank are asking that all of these developers and buyers now meet with the commission beforehand. So we recently received the standardized recommendation form, which all the commissioners should have, and if the public would like to see it at the end, I'm more than happy to share that with you. I think next meeting, we are going to talk about kind of the process and create a formalized process as to how to respond to these, because as it stands right now, there's no zoning variance, there's no actual anything official that we need to say other than we don't not want them to develop the land. But based off this is an actual formalized approval. So hopefully at the next meeting, which will be next Thursday, we'll be talking about the actual formalized process. If any community members, commissioners would like to join.
Can I just piggyback on something you said? As part of the first the first presentation about the first piece of land, we responded back, I as the chair saying we didn't object to the development or the proposed development on that piece of land. That we didn't say we approve it or we deny it. It said we didn't have any objections to what was presented. So I just wanted to kind of share that with everybody as an addition. If it's okay, I just added that on here.
No, yes, that's accurate. Ashley.
What are the addresses? Are you able to say?
Yes, these addresses are 507 and 510 Whitethorn Avenue and 346 Ryan Avenue. These would be new builds, so they are currently vacant lots, and I don't remember the last properties that came before us.
I can find it.
Yeah. But these are all new builds.
They're new builds. They want to keep them under, I think they said 225.
For these ones, yes, they keep it below 250, I think.
Is it a vacant lot?
They are vacant lots.
Vacant lots currently.
So, Mr. Chairperson, if I could give a first on that.
I just couldn't hear you.
If I could just speak to that for a second.
Yeah.
So I always tell commissions that they have influence but no power. Right? you guys make recommendations on land bank properties, you really do have power. Because land bank requires approval from the commission before the developer can do that. I just want to make that point, so you guys know.
Good enough. So we need to talk about internally what that procedure is going to look like, because this is, at least for this group, it's the first time that we've all been a part of having a presentation come to us. And we didn't know that form even, we were to use that standard zoning council variance form as a response. So that's standard for us, for commissions to respond using that form, David.
Yes. Like I said, the land bank requires the commission approval on anything that we, they won't close on the property until you guys say. It's a hedge to, you know, if the city owns property in your neighborhood, we want to make sure that whatever happens there, it's agreeable with the area commission.
Okay, I still stand that, you know, these can be reviewed in planning, economic development. We're just gonna have to talk about what that process is gonna look like, as you said in your report, and then whether or not those come to the full commission for a vote. We'll be talking about that next.
Which is next Thursday.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, David.
How many homes that land bank owns? How many homes?
If you mean homes or properties?
If you go properties.
Properties in general.
If you look on the Department of Development land bank website, there's a map. It shows everything that is available. Doesn't mean it's everything we own, it's everything that's available for purchase.
Sure. I think this is really great because it shows that the city is respecting the neighborhood by coming to you before they sell anything. Secondly, I think it's great that we're not having people purchase these homes and not really fixing them up other than cosmetic and then renting them out to people and not caring who they put in them. These are going to be homes that are actually going to have people. I misunderstood. I thought you were approving you bought them, like something in Amherst Village in Westerville. But anyway, I finally figured out you're not saying that, but anyway, I think it's great. I think you do need to insist though that we do have mixed income. Some selling at 250 is fine, but if they're all going to be that way, then we need the program they have on the south side where the $250,000 home gets $100,000 off courtesy of however they do it down there. And then the owner actually has down payment assistance and then takes the rest of the balance. I'm sure it can be done. Anyway, I just wanted to add my 2 cents because I think it's.
No, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's move on to our Public Safety Committee, and our co-chairs have a report.
We're going to hear from one of our members, Commissioner.
So I'm Kayla Davis, part of the Public Safety Committee. So what we've been working on the past 2 weeks is, well, 2 months actually. The first part of the month, we worked on putting together a survey. There's 2 different surveys that we're putting out. One goes to the community members or residents that live in the greater Hilltop area. This is just to kind of get their feedback of the top 3 concerns that they have wrapped around safety, and then what they would like to see within the community. And then of course, any additional comments that they would like to add. So if it's, you know, trash within the alleys, or if there's, you know, criminal damages or anything like that, they're able to bring that up and share that with us. Then we have our second survey that we're actually sending out to our organizations within the greater Hilltop area. So our nonprofits, our grassroots, our, you know, smaller community organizations that have been put together. The reason behind that is to get their feedback, because maybe we may not be able to hit the community members that they technically serve through their organizations. So we kind of want to get their feedback from what they're hearing from their community. We do have 3 results from the survey that we received on the organization side that we can share. So if you look up here, so it's the top 3 concerns. Right now, the top 2, and this is just from 3 organizations as of right now that are on the hilltop, are trash and drugs. The next ones behind that is human trafficking, property crimes, lack of quality education, lack of after-school programs, and then housing. And then you can see down at the bottom, kind of they've given a little bit more information, invest in grassroots organizations that meet the people where they're at. Sorry, I can't really see, if you can see. And then the second one is there are many churches on the hilltop that have unutilized space and lack of capacity to run after-school programs. What if a task force was put together that could do the following: identify, after-school programs that could be scaled up, develop a usage agreement template that could be used with the area churches, adequate funding to share costs with the churches and funding programs. And then the last one is increase police presence and increase affordable rental homes and apartments. So that came from our organization side. We have gotten 89 responses from community members. We just don't have those results to show. So we're hoping this next month coming up, because we just had our other safety committee this past Saturday. So we're hoping by our next full commission that we'll have some more results to share with you guys on what's coming back from the organizations along with the community members, and kind of see where that matches up at. And then where we can, as the public safety committee, be able to help those solutions from that side of it. Any commissions from the commission? Any questions?
Where can you find the link to the survey?
So we have a link on the website. Do we?
We have it on the Facebook page.
So we do have it on our Facebook page. If anybody's interested in the organization link, please reach out to me after this, because I have that link, so I can send that to you directly also. And then we do have paper copies for folks that live in the Greater Hilltop area as residents, so you can fill that out, a paper version, but we also do have a digital version also, so whichever works best for you guys.
Yes.
I do have a big concern. The garbage. What exactly are we doing with the city of Columbus to address the garbage issue? It's not just a garbage issue now, it's becoming a health issue. The garbage is piling up so bad. You have 15 people now living in a 2-bedroom house because rent's so high. So now you have 15 people filling up a 300-gallon container within 2 days. So that leads to garbage overflowing and they have no place to put it, so it ends up on the ground. Then when you call it into 311, and I hate to say this out loud, but they come in and they half-ass the job cleaning up. And it's going to take bulldozers. It's going to take an army to get these alleys cleaned up. And I don't see it happening. So what are you guys doing to address all that garbage? Have you guys been out and walked in alleys? Have any of you walked an alley?
I live on the hilltop, so I'm familiar.
Have you been over on Eureka and Safford down that alley? Have you walked it?
Yes,
I'm just gonna,
Yes.
I
You know
ride
what?
my bike through there all
Go
the
ahead.
time.
I do have it. Again, I'm going to say something very clearly. This is a committee report. The work that we do is in committees. Please come to committee meetings. We are announcing, you will announce when your next public safety committee meeting is. We are working on trying to focus on and bring attention to these issues. So this isn't the forum to discuss that broadly. I think come to the committee and that's the place that we can discuss this deeply. When's our next committee?
so the next committee meeting for the Public Safety Committee is going to be on the 29th, Saturday, the 29th, 10 a.m. right here at the Hilltop Library. And we welcome your energy and your passion. We just want to get you at the right time and in the right space. Thank you.
Facebook page. Go to it and look at it.
Thank you.
Oh,
Like the name of it?
yes.
Called The Hidden Truth of the Hilltop USA. What I do is I go out with my own vehicle and I record these alleys and I record everything to 311. So if you want to see what the real hilltop looks like, go onto that webpage.
I live on Warren.
so I know what the hilltop looks
You
like.
live on Warren?
Yes,
My
South
mom
Warren.
does too.
Okay, so we see it every day, and I think that's
Yeah,
why
we're
we're
in-
active and trying to do something about it. So.
My mom lives on Warren. She lives in Wicklow and Sullivan, one of the worst streets.
Okay, so any questions about the committee report? Any other final questions about it? We're gonna move.
And feel free to share the survey, right? Like if you're in the hilltop, you live on the hilltop and you have lovely friends, or if you have an organization that you think could benefit sharing their information with us, please either send them to me or just, I can send you the link. Because the more the merrier, you know, we don't want to get 89%, we want to get hundreds of people that currently live on the greater hilltop area. So share that information and do the surveys.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our Recreation and Parks Committee report, which will put us right to the point where we have presentations. We are running out of time. So not to rush you through your report, but James, do you have or Josh, do you have a report for the Recreation and Parks?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. So we met on the 17th at Holton Park last month. We picked up decent amount of trash and did a walkthrough and just discussed everything that was going on at that park. This month we will meet on the 15th at 10 a.m. at Hans Park to do the same thing, walk through the park, discuss its needs, come up with a list so that we can get it over to the city. We've already been in talks with a couple city members and discussing improvements with them. But just trying to do our best to keep up with keeping the parks as clean as possible. So again, that's the 15th at 10 a.m. at Hans Park.
Questions about Josh's report? Okay, thank you. That concludes our reports of committee. So we're moving on to our presentations. We've already heard about the city bond package. So let's move on to the Hilltop Rise and Economic CDC. Betty James is here. She asked if she could have a few minutes of the time.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you, GHAC, for your strong letter of support going into our city seed funding. I think it was at large part due to that support that we were able to get that, and appreciate your continued partnership. So Hilltop Rise officially launched 3 months ago. I am going to speak as a parent of a toddler and talk about months instead of years because you go back one slide. Hilltop Rise kind of grew out of a need for economic development on the Hilltop. The Hilltop is one of the oldest and largest neighborhoods, but it's been obviously persistently disinvested. Actually, if the Hilltop were a city, we would be the 11th largest in the state. But what we've lacked is a full-time quarterback, champion, cheerleader to help others learn about our potential. So the way this is going to work is this new CDC will work on the Hilltop, for the Hilltop, and we'll work with the city, the county, with CODA, with other organizations, residents and agencies to drive economic development along the commercial corridors. And as this next slide shows, we are truly, and this doesn't even encompass the entire Hilltop. If you go out a little bit farther west, you've got neighborhoods like Holly Hill, Georgian Heights, Broadlawn, and so forth. But we really are a neighborhood of neighborhoods, and what Hilltop Rise will do is to keep and grow those unique neighborhood identities, because they really are very unique, not only in their terms of diverse housing stock, but their commercial space. But as you can see here in the next slide, we're going to focus on the vital redevelopment of both West Broad Street and Sullivan Avenue within the boundaries of GHAC. So from the bottom of the hill all the way out to Georgesville Road. And it's a huge task. It's not going to happen overnight. We didn't get here overnight. It's going to take, this is when we stop talking in weeks and months and start talking about years, because it's going to take a long time. I guess I would just want to temper the community's expectation of how long this is going to take. But we know that West Broad Street has amazing potential. Particularly east of Hague, in terms of the zero setback, the already mixed use spaces and historic buildings. And then Sullivan Avenue has over 1 million square feet of non-residential space. spanning 111 acres. So there's amazing potential. I'm here today to engage the community. Our executive director, once hired, will be tasked with community outreach. And in the meantime, we're available to come out and talk to groups. The next slide shows you, and I just briefly threw this in here about the east-west corridor that Lintus is doing. The Broad Street corridor will have 6 stations on the hilltop. And the work is being done, will really be transformative to West Broad Street because the local preferred alternative was to have the center median, and that is what is being proposed now. They're moving into the 30% design phase, but that's a whole nother presentation. But one of our board members is actually one of the CODIS economic development manager, because we feel like the businesses on West Broad Street should be at the design table as well as the residents. So that's what we're doing. So we do have momentum on the hilltop. The Hilltop Bank block, next slide, please. Hilltop Bank block is already giving Highland West hope. That historic building, Jenny, you can tell me how long it has sat empty, but it's historic. Actually, Columbus Landmarks Foundation, who is represented on our board, is coming out, I believe it's next week, to look at that to see if there are some endangered building funds that they might be able to help. But we're going to drive, Hilltop Rise is going to build on this momentum and really drive more investment through the hilltop. Neighborhoods rarely stay the same. They either get worse due to neglect and persistent disinvestment, someone's place we all know and love, or they get better through intervention. So we're going to start with these nodes. There are several here. The bank block, Flachet Alliance is working on a very historic building at the bottom of the hill. And then out a little bit further is the Broad and Westmore node. Our goal is to maintain affordable commercial space and mixed income neighborhoods. And the next slide shows you where we talked about the bank block, back one. Roosevelt Coffee Roasters. Do you know why Roosevelt Coffee Roasters is here on the hilltop? They were priced out of Franklinton. And so this is just, and this is where we held our press conference because it's such an impressive building. And I swear we're going to do something with that vault. There's going to be an event around that vault, I promise you. And then the next slide shows, we have a lot of studies. And this was a visionary concept that came out of Envision Hilltop. And Mr. Barnacle kind of tipped his hat on this one, but this is coming off the drawing board. And I'm so excited about this because this is how communities rebuild. They start small and they start now. And this is a low-cost intervention that will really help improve that whole section. And so they do have to come for variances for both parking and to be able to park there. So really excited about that physical improvement of that particular corner. And then lastly is the corner of West Broad and Westmore is Third Way Cafe. You'll see, 5 years ago, they started pretty small. It was very, one more slide, okay. It was, they started pretty modestly, but they've really grown. And what has happened is John Rush has purchased the building across the street. The Rallies building, Third Way Cafe, will be moving over there. And then he has a whole new vision for 3858 and 3060 West Broad. I believe you already have a liquor permit in front of you. So just really excited about all of these nodes. And then the last slide is basically our board. We formed a board full of business owners, property owners, and others who bring unique and valuable insight and knowledge. I think my biggest sale was getting Cleve Ricksecker out of retirement. He is a visionary leader and an urbanist, and he's already hit the ground running. So we've got a lot of folks that I mentioned CODA before, I mentioned Columbus Landmarks Foundation. So we are now recruiting for our executive director. You can get the full job application or description and instructions on how to apply on our website. And with that, the website's on, or the info, next slide is how you can get in touch with us. Any questions?
Betty, I heard you once share a comparison between the cost per square foot, West Broad, Hilltop, and then downtown. What was that? Do you remember those numbers?
That was something that Preston, who is one of our business owners, shared. It can be up to $30 to $40 a square foot in some of the other areas.
Yep.
Hilltop is around $10 to $11 a square foot. So when you're talking about making it affordable for startup businesses, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're also looking for towards white boxing, which is basically going in and building out a room, and all somebody has to come in and, you know, hang fixtures, but making them small enough that they're affordable for an artist or a new business.
Are you gonna make sure it's long-term and they're not gonna be priced out? That's me talking.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, what are you guys gonna put in, like, for instance, Roosevelt got priced out from Franklinton, right?
Yes.
So with Hilltop, what's gonna be in place to ensure that that doesn't happen within a 5-year plan, right? Because
That's a great question, and that's something that we're working towards to make sure that the business model that we have is to maintain some of those buildings ourselves so that we can kind of control that. We won't be able to completely eliminate it, but the Hilltop is one of the last urban areas to be redeveloped, and I don't think that we're going to have some of the same pressures that Franklinton has. You know, there's just a whole different mass of buildings, and we're going to stay smaller and more intimate and more charming.
and then how do we ensure it's diverse? Because Hilltop, there's tons of us, right? Immigrants, Africans, whatever, right?
Yes.
African Americans, like, so how do you ensure that that also is incorporated as part of this plan?
We've been very careful about making sure that there is equity across, the application for our seed funding was to help us create business opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses. Very excited that Twee Fan is on our board. She actually has been in this neighborhood for 20 years. She's Asian, but 95% of her clients are Hispanic. And so to open up that whole group of people that we've not really been able to reach. And one of the studies had shown that Sullivan Avenue, I'm not good at directions, that way could be an international district. And so that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, no, that's true, because so I grew up in this area, right, for 30 some years. So there are like a lot of Hispanic restaurant, Latino restaurants off Demarest or
Right.
even like, off Eaton, right? That it's probably mostly residents that know about it and maybe not people who know about. So I just want to make sure this plan is going to be incorporating all of us that have always lived here as well. So.
That is our plan. That is definitely our plan. All right.
Thank you very much. So the executive director position is currently posted. You can find more information about it on your website, and we're currently taking applications for anybody interested.
Yeah, and the application process will be open until November the 11th. We do have a search committee. We're expanding the search committee outside of our board because we want to make sure that we get somebody who's actually done the work before and knows what it's going to take. We've extended an offer for them to come on this search committee so that we get the right person. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for your support.
Sure. Tina.
Rosalie.
Hi, Rosalie.
Hi. I'm just gonna,
Yeah, just flip it on and you can hold her.
okay, I'll hold it because my plan is to not talk for too long. I'm Rosalie Hendon with the City of Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. Good to be with you all, commissioners. I have a colleague with me and our consultant, so that's why I said I won't be speaking for too long. Apologies, Tina can't be here, she's sick. But Tina and I worked really closely together. Feels weird to have my back to everybody. Oh, thank you. Okay, sorry.
No,
You probably didn't hear a lot. Rosalie Hendon. Nice to be with you. So Tina and I worked together during the planning phase around Glenwood Park. So I'm sure you all are familiar with Glenwood, one of our recreation centers, pool is getting redone. But there was, of the 16 acres of the park, really half was kind of undeveloped, natural, wooded space, had a lot of invasive species. So we really relied on your commission and the Recreation and Parks Committee. So really grateful to those of you here who met with us so often throughout this project. So Tina and I said, like I said, we went through a planning phase with meeting regularly with you all to get your input, engaged Michelle Eccles here with Resource International as a consultant, and she stayed on with us through the design and construction of this project. And then my colleague Michelle Hilliard is here as well. Tina and I have kind of passed the torch, moving from the planning phase into design and construction. So Michelle is leading that. So that's really all I was going to say. Okay. So Michelle, do you want to say anything or? No? Okay. All right. So I'll pass this over to Michelle Eccles to present about the, however you want to do it.
Yeah, we can, so we brought some boards of the conceptual or the detailed design. So we're at 75% detailed design completion. We're working on 100%. And this was the time that the Parks and Recs and Parks Department wanted us to come and present for you. So I appreciate the opportunity here today. And so just to review a little bit, first off, I wanted to show how far we've come. For those who don't know Glenwood Park, as Rosalie was saying, there's 8 acres of undeveloped land. It is along West Broad Street. It's right at the entrance of Hilltop. It's the first thing you see off the freeway, and it's not very beautiful. So the goal was to enhance it, make it some of the priorities for us on the design. Utmost priority was safety. That property was heavily wooded. There was a lot of homeless camps. I noticed on your safety, drugs and trash, that was there. When I first looked at the project, did a walkthrough, there was a lot of drug paraphernalia, a lot of homeless camps going on. So the goal, the priority was to make it safe, and I think we're halfway there, or even more than that. So you can look at these after if you'd like, I'll leave them. So these are some photos of before, what we've done to this point and what we've done so far as Recreation Parks has contracted. We found in the conceptual design phase that the big issue of safety was the vegetation. It was totally overgrown. Honeysuckle is going crazy there. And some other invasive plants. There's a lot of down trees. Emerald ash borer has gone through, and unfortunately had some really huge ash trees that have fallen down. So we brought in a contractor. They've done clearing of probably 70% of the honeysuckle and removed all the dead, dying, and down trees. So if you want to take opportunity, you can see how things are cleared. The goal for clearing was to be able to see across that whole vegetated area. Open it up to Broad Street. So there's a photo where you can't see Broad Street, and then afterwards now you can see Broad Street. Traffic on Broad Street can see across that wooded area. And that eliminates a lot of the drugs and unwanted activities going on. So that's halfway done. That was phase 1. So phase 1 is complete, and now we're into phase 2, and that's to go into construction. So we brought the conceptual design of the trail layout. There is a wetland, or what we call vernal pool. I don't know where those. It's basically a vernal pool is a wetland that dries up. It's seasonal. So when you go down there, that area changes quite quickly after it rains. So it's kind of neat to see. It will flood and then it will go away within 3 to 4 days. So it's very, the diversity of vegetation down there is not high. So part of the construction is to enhance that wetland, bring in some better vegetation, more diversity. Do a little additional clearing to make paths clearly understood. Add some educational signage and add what we, recently the monarch butterfly was put on the endangered species list. So we're going to have what's called a pollinator garden, and that will be with a lot of milkweed and other pollinating vegetation to enhance bringing in monarch butterflies and other species. There'll be a little sitting area by that wetland where the educational signage is. And you can kind of see that, I don't know if Rose, you can point where the sitting area will be.
There. This is the vernal pool, the wetland. There's.
And then the community center, if you're all aware, with the community center is up top, on top of the hill. And then there's this hill slope. It makes a little bench mid area. I call it middle terrace. And then you have the lowland area where the wetland is. And the lowland area is where a lot of the activities going on that we want to kind of divert and get rid of. So outside of that, if you have time, if you want to look at the boards and if you have any questions, you can ask Rosalie, Michelle, Rye. And then I have Henry here too, Henry Rodriguez. He's the engineer designing it all. So if anything goes wrong, it's his fault.
Are there other questions about the presentation?
Yeah.
The wetland, you said it lasts how long? It floods and then stays for how long?
So if there's a sustainable rain period, the water will stay for about 3 to 4 days, depending, and then it sinks into the ground because the ground. There are mosquito issues down there, and hopefully some of the clearing has helped that. But it is.
I mean, is the wetland, will it permit mosquitoes to breed there?
Yes. So that wetland has existed a long time, and mosquito issues have occurred because of that. So it's not something this project is out to eliminate.
Is this project already fully funded or does it require new funding?
It's funded, and I think the city's actually, are they planning to allocate more, or are they talking about that? I thought.
Yes, the original phase of this project was about $24,000 just for the planning, and then we've already allocated $200,000 for the design and construction phase. And then, yes, we've discussed adding additional funding if needed. That's in our proposal.
Okay, so there's a question in the back and then a question up front.
Yeah, Commissioners, Jeff Phillips, Highland West Civic Association. That was actually our first project before we got pulled over to Bolton Park. And we've always had some rocky relations with former directors. So it was a good idea. We stepped back and I love Neil because we had a long talk about this and all of you guys that are taking part of this. We come to something that's going to be really great. It's like a bookend. You have Franklin Park that's totally different on one end. You have us on this end. Westgate, which is a totally different kind of park on the other end. I think it's a good match. It's a good fit. I thank you for allowing some of us in the Civic Association to participate in this and in your meetings. And the Civic fully supports this. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Well, your input has been very valuable. I always take your notes about everything you're telling me. What?
You're going to need to sustain this wetland. I want a pond.
I want a pond. And we appreciate the commission's part involvement as well with help on everything.
So there's a question right behind you.
What's the maintenance plan to like keep the brush from not being overtaken again? I mean, did the stuff that you take out, was that the invasive stuff that was causing the problems of not being able to see through, or what is the long-term maintenance plan?
Yes, the honeysuckle, the Parks Department struggles with it all the time. It's everywhere and we're not gonna get rid of it. So you're right, maintenance is the key. As part of the construction, they are to to reduce the honeysuckle coming back as treatment. So there is a plan for treatment during construction, and then the parks will take over with maintenance. And the trails are going to be grass so that they can maintain them. They'll be mowed and they'll be on schedule.
They'll be maintained with
Yeah.
the entire park up at Glenwood, so whenever they do maintenance up there. we'll do it.
Trails will be mowed. We're gonna seed it with the proper seeding mix for whatever shade and sun areas. There will be a trash receptacle down by the educational area. So hopefully that will help because there's quite a bit of maintenance of trash issues.
So the trails is around the edge of the park, is that correct? Or where the
So
trails are?
on this 75% drawing, we're showing where the new trails will be.
Okay,
The dotted line there are kind of the man-made existing ones.
okay.
We're gonna define them better and add a little bit more width to them and definition.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of the trails we're proposing are somewhat existing, but they're in poor shape, too narrow in some areas. The grading is incorrect. There's tree roots and tree stumps in the middle of some of the trails. So it's going to be improvement, maintenance issues.
Will some of them be ADA accessible?
I don't believe we're making this can't be ADA, but we're adding steps from the middle terrace down to the lower terrace where I think you mentioned, there's existing steps, but they're in very poor condition. Almost to the point where you can't see them. So we're gonna add new steps, well-defined area steps, and then multiple access into the area so that you'll have two accesses from Broad Street. Right now, there's a Coda bus stop. The access will be right there where the Coda bus stop is. If you want to point that upper corner, yeah, there's a Coda stop there. That's right where you get on the freeway, the ramp. So there'll be a sign kind of introducing everybody to the park, letting them know there's trails there. And then the other entrance is at the community center, steps on Broad Street, straight up to the community center. And then there's access from the basketball courts, the pool, the new pool.
Michelle, with the ADA, the reason, like, it's grading would be the big thing, right? So we want to conserve the character of being like a wooded space, make it healthier for the ecosystem by removing all these invasives, but also provide access and more safety for the community. I think the amount of grading we would have to do to make it fit within the slopes.
No.
We would have tons of tree impact. That's another reason we've been working to keep the trails where they're kind of existing today and just better defined, because we don't want to go in and clear mature trees. The trees we removed were all, like Michelle said, dead, dying, disease.
Okay, we have time for one more question, if that's okay.
Just quickly, I had a crew, we were trying to pick up trash along West Broad right now. And if you notice that there's such a steep grade right off West Broad, have you all thought about, because I know going forward, there's always going to be trash there. It's right along West Broad. Have you thought on how to ameliorate that somehow? Because we couldn't even get some of that trash, it's such a steep grade.
I've seen it, yeah, I've been by there and seen it.
Yeah.
A lot, have you seen it recently with all the honeysuckle gone?
Oh, yeah, it was a few
Yeah.
months ago.
So now all the trash will even go further.
Yeah,
into the
go
property.
further down.
So we also removed several dead trees that were along Broad Street, so it has a whole new look. I'm not sure how to eliminate the trash issue. Broad Street. We are.
What's happening is there's overhead announcements in the library saying that they're getting ready to close. So it gives us a chance to step over those microphones. You should be back here in just a moment.
We did, when I was out there one time, there was a vehicle that came out of the park and pretty much almost took me out. So there's easy ways to drive off. There's like a driveway path off of Broad Street right into it. So cars actually do drive down there, which shocks me. So we're gonna add some mounding soil areas and a bollard between them so that we're trying to kind of constrict that area so no cars can drive in. So I'm trying to eliminate the vehicle issue, but I'm not sure about the trash. But hopefully the elimination of the honeysuckle and the dead trees there will do a lot to get access.
Great, thank you for your presentation tonight. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll leave those boards up for the little bit of time we have. The library does close completely at 9 o'clock. Now, I want to say couple of things before we go. Unfinished business, our approved bylaw changes that we all voted on at our last meeting were actually reviewed. And I got an email back on September 21st that the city was okay with the way that they were proposed, so we can move ahead with instituting those. We don't have anything as new business. I do have something I'd like to say. I'd like to make this clear. I think, what's that saying? It's kind to be clear, right? So I'm a volunteer. I spend, all the people sitting at this table are volunteers. I spend, and I know people here spend a lot of time trying to do what was on the initial slide, was to be an advisor to the city, to be a liaison with them, to be able to bring the concerns of our neighborhoods forward, et cetera, right? We have about 30 people out here in the audience, and we have a growing number of people that want to look into this meeting. I have been elected by my peers to chair this meeting, and I have an order of business to conduct. I need to get this done in the timeframes that I have. But I also want to be very clear that I welcome questions, and I welcome input, and I welcome everything that we have to say. But I'm telling you, I do not want to be in the position where I have to shut somebody down in the back of the room that says, I don't really want to hear what you have to say and I want to move on. I don't want to be in that spot, right? Because I don't feel like I'm doing my role if I shut somebody down and just say, what do you think needs to be improved about our community? So how can we bring those inputs together in a way that's productive, right? And so I welcome you to be involved in the committee work. My cell phone number is blasted everywhere that my name is. You can call me directly. We can talk about it. I have a lot of things that I would like to respond to people this evening about, and I think there's an opportunity to do that. But if I'm not being clear, there are other commissions that have had to say, we're gonna have to go to speaker slips or whatever to say, if anybody has any comments or questions, fill out a speaker slip. I hope that we don't get to that, but we have 2 hours to conduct. And I can't tell you how many people that wanted to be at this meeting tonight that I said, I'm gonna have to put you off. We don't have the time. We have an order of business to conduct. And so I'm gonna finish my comment. The work that we do in this full commission meeting primarily is to report on the work that our committees is doing, right? To get city of staff reports, and then to make sure that we are then bringing work back to the committee so that that work gets done. Trash, drugs, all these kinds of things, these are huge problems. And the people that sit here spend hours every month trying to get input about these issues. So I hope that my message is kind, but I'm also going to be very clear about how future full commission meetings are going to roll. And when committees do reports, I welcome comments or questions about the presentation. If you want to hang out in the parking lot, we can talk about it or whatever, but I want to be clear that if I have to, I'll just ratchet this whole thing down and we'll just do one-way presentations, right? That's what I wanted to say. I'm going to adjourn the meeting unless anybody has any objections to that.
Second.
Thank you for being here. Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
I'm sorry. Somebody waves back to me. What's up?